Hello and welcome to RayJ's Tinfoil Hat series, where I delve into truly bizarre claims that our world is not as we've been told. Tighten the chin strap on your tinfoil hat and let's go for a ride. In this episode I will address the question, if the world is not as we've been told, then are those in authority willing and able to deceive us intentionally? The information I'm providing here is from a declassified Joint Chiefs of Staff memorandum. I located this in the archives on the George Washington University website. The operation is usually referred to as Operation Northwoods. The actual title of the memorandum is Justification for U.S. Military Intervention in Cuba. The memorandum is dated March 13, 1962. The purpose of the document was to provide a description of pretext which would provide justification for military intervention in Cuba. It suggests courses of action that will lead to political decisions that would then lead to military action. In the introduction, it is stated that a goal was to develop the international image of the Cuban government as a rash and irresponsible government, and as an alarming and unpredictable threat to peace of the Western Hemisphere. It further states that the plan is to enable a buildup of incidents combined with other, seemingly unrelated events, to camouflage the ultimate objective and create the impression of Cuban rashness and irresponsibility. I will read to you a few of the highlights of suggested activities that were in this document. Land friendly Cubans in uniform over the fence to stage an attack on a U.S. base. Use friendly Cubans to start riots near the base main gate. Sink a ship near the harbor entrance. Conduct funerals for mock victims. Develop a communist Cuban terror campaign pointed at Cuban refugees seeking haven in the U.S. This would include sinking a boatload of Cubans en route to Florida, either real or simulated. Use MiG-type aircraft by U.S. pilots to attack and destroy military drone aircraft. Those are unmanned aircraft. It also included a very elaborate plan to simulate a U.S. passenger plane being shot down. This involved making a copy of that plane, having a drone version of the plane, an unmanned drone, coordinating a takeoff of the plane, one with passengers in it and one drone, which is unmanned. They would shoot down the drone, land the passengers at Eglin Air Force Base, unload them, and so on and so forth. Very complicated plan to blame something on the Cubans that to say they shot down that passenger plane. They also looked at fostering attempts on the lives of Cuban refugees in the U.S., even to the extent of wounding them by exploding a few plastic bombs in carefully chosen spots. Have you heard enough yet? I think it's easy to conclude from such plans made at the highest levels of our government that no amount of deception is too great to achieve their goals. And if you were wondering if they're willing to damage property and people, I'll just hit on one more document I located. It is a congressional report titled American Nuclear Guinea Pigs, 3 Decades of Radiation Experiments on U.S. Citizens. This report documents that there were hundreds of known cases of injurious experimentation, many performed on people without their consent. Some were performed on people who were considered expendable. The government covered up the nature of the experiments and deceived families of deceased victims. A wide variety of experiments were conducted, some including injecting uranium nitrate into patients with healthy kidneys to determine the dose needed to damage the kidneys. So I believe from these documents you can conclude that our government is willing and able to deceive us, to damage property, and harm people to achieve their goals. I encourage you to do your own research. Look into government document archives. Read the real history on things. Use all the tools you have to find the truth. You can look into the items I've talked about today by going to the links below in the description. They will direct you to these documents that I've read to you. In an upcoming episode, I'm going to talk about sunsets.